Susie has a regular slot on Countdown called Origins of Words, where she explains the derivations of well-known words and phrases, whilst Countdown viewers nip off for a shit. OK, if you wanted to impress someone by using a word in a sentence, what would it be?
People always expect me to come out with these amazing, articulate, long words and things. So I don't really use words with too much pressure. So I just say that I work with some of the finest comedians in the country and Jimmy Carr.
Oh, I see. I see.
This Christmas, thousands of people will be waking up on Christmas morning and finding Susie Dent's new book amongst their presents. So if you're watching, charity shop owners, you might want to clear a shelf. Susie, are there any Christmas words that you particularly like?
Yeah, well, after all this food, it's got to be your Yule hole.
What's a Yule hole?
Yule hole is the furthest hole on your belt. Somebody's have to make it. That's reserved just for Christmas. It's lovely, isn't it?
I thought that's what I dig in the garden for the dog.
Well... double meaning. Oh, and there's one for you, Jimmy, a toe cover, which is a completely inexpensive but worthless present, like one of your DVDs.
Susie recently went on tour. Her show got 5 stars, spread across 5 reviews. Susie, we've got a proper EastEnder on the show tonight. Any favourite Cockney phrases?
People pop up in rhyming slang all the time. So modern rhyming slang is all kind of riffs on people's names. So Lionel Blair, Flares, and Pete Tong, Wrong. And you, in fact, have a bit of rhyming slang named after you, which is Berkeley Hunt.
Susie, have you discovered any new words recently?
Yeah, I like the sort of new old words, so the old words that have kind of completely faded from view, and then I'd like to bring those back. So there's Whoop'n'Zocker, which is quite nice. A Whoop'n'Zocker is something extremely large of its kind. Like your...
Jimmy, over to you.
Like your head.
You're not going to step away from that. All you've got to do is get your head on that. That's it. What? If you're not going to do it, I'll do it. What, like my cock?
Unbelievably, Susie Dent has a new book out. I don't know where you get your ideas from, Susie, but I wish you'd stop going there. Susie, you often tweet a word of the day. What's today's offering?
Oh, well, I knew I was going to see you, Jimmy. Stiff rump.
What, sorry?
A stiff rump.
Stiff rump?
Yes, and a stiff rump is a 17th century word for someone who refuses to change their opinion. Like, you've been a stiff rump with me for years.
I have changed my mind about you. I used to think you wrote boring books, and now I think you're also sexually very promiscuous.
Yeah, and still write boring books.
I love that, Susie. Stiff rump.
Stiff rump,
I can use that as a double entendre in one of my next poems.
Excellent.
Susie Dent has promised to send me a copy of every single one of her books, and I hope they arrive soon, because tomorrow is bin day. Susie, have you been researching anything new recently?
I'm looking at body language a bit,
Really?
which is really interesting. And, you know, there's the obvious things about like, defensive and looking down your shy and all that stuff. But these, like, really micro gestures that tell you, that send you a message. Women turning their back on you, Jimmy, for example. I genuinely found this out. I had no idea about this. Apparently, there's a 3-second rule that if you gaze at somebody, hold someone's gaze for more than 3 seconds, it means either kiss or kill.
Well, let's try this.
All right.
Both.
Yeah.
Try to decide the order. That's fascinating body language. 3
Have
seconds.
I just said something you found fascinating?
Yeah, genuinely
I'm gonna
fascinating.
Stop right there.
All right, quit while
I'm
you're
happy
ahead.
with that.
If you lined all 14 of Susie Dent's books up end to end, you're probably working in a charity shop. Susie, we've got Henning on the show this evening. Any favourite German words?
Yeah, I have lots, because German was my subject for a bit. And the best thing about German is you can fill all those gaps that we have in English, you can fill them with German words. So there was Deppenfahrerbeäugung, which is the compulsion to stare at the person that you've just overtaken in your car.
There is Dornhirschenschlaf. This is one that, if you were German, Jimmy, you'd hear a lot. Dornhirschenschlaf. It translates as thorny lingerie sleep, and it's pretending to be asleep to avoid sex.
I bought Susie's latest book on Amazon. It said people who bought this book also liked to send it straight back to us. Susie, what have you been up to lately?
I have been looking at something called lalokizia, if you've heard of this, which is the use of swearing for pain relief, relief of stress, frustration, that kind of thing.
I've read about this. Tell us more.
Yeah, because there are lots of experiments, you've probably seen them, whereby if you put your hand in freezing cold water, you can keep it in for a lot longer if you're shouting bollocks or whatever, than if you're just holding it there silently. I find it really useful in stressful situations, like sitting opposite you.
Susie's books are available on Kindle, so instead of not buying one, you could not download one instead. Susie, how could you persuade someone to take up lexicography?
Well, you only have to read one book, not mine, so that's quite a good thing. And, well, if you're lucky, you get to work with some of the funniest people in the country, and you.
In the back. Never said anything nasty about you, Susie.
No.
I mean, I said a lot about your shit books, but I've never said anything nasty about you. Susie's latest book was printed with a load of mistakes. How could that happen? Well, I imagine the proofreader kept falling asleep. We all know you tweet a word of the day. What's today's word, Susie?
This one was just random because, you know, I like to read the dictionary, and I came up with this great word, which is commiferous.
Commiferous?
Yes.
Oh, I like it already.
Yeah, you will like this one because it means bearing locks of new hair.
No, it's not new. It's just been redistributed.
Well, that's how you can describe yourself from now on.
What is it again?
Commiferous. It's got cum in it, so you like it. C-O-M-E-F-E-R-O-U-S.
Susie has written 14 books about the derivations of words, and you can find them all in your local library. Just ask for the Sleepy Go Bye-Bye section. OK, Susie, what have you been looking into recently? Other than glory holes.
The most unnecessary joke.
Sorry, Susie. Susie has had 14 books about lexicography published. Add to that her 20 volumes of sadomasochistic erotic fan fiction, and you have to admit she's really quite prolific. Susie, what have you been looking into recently?
What have I been looking into? The last time you asked me that, you said apart from glory holes.
Yes, I did.
For me, a glory hole, it's been around since the 1600s, and it's just a space where you just put loads of junk.
I beg
So
your pardon.
I love...
Yeah, that's still what it means. That is still what it